Save Our Kids is an opportunity for you to be introduced to a few school and student helpers. If there is a space or a place to improve the lives of our children, we know a few families and business owners who have made it their business to answer the call for help and provide a solution to those challenges that impact our children and eventually us all. We could not just choose one kiddo to save, so we are asking for your help to reach more. Join Keeping Your Kids Safe as we identify some of the problems and share a few solutions that have been created just for you. Woo-hoo! Yay! Turn up my light. Hello, ladies. Hello. How are you today?
Hello.
Tammy's like, wait, what? What exactly are we doing?
Hello.
I'm unsure.
What are we doing? Hello. What are we doing?
I know. Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So this has been a very exciting week, I think, to a certain degree. So it's always good. And we'll have one more person join us here shortly. But it's always good to see beautiful faces on the screen and being able to have a good conversation about those things that are challenging our children, right? So this group is slightly different. Because although you're business owners, you're actually parents. And today we're going to have a group of parents have a conversation about some of those challenges that are ahead of us in this upcoming school year. But here's the other gift. Christina used to be a teacher, so she can actually tell us from a teacher's perspective what our challenges are, how we can improve and help close the gap in education when it comes to our little people. So as we get started, the things we want to do is we want to go ahead and let everybody introduce themselves before I get into the stats. Now remember, I do put out the stats every single time we do this for a reason. In order for us to understand what we are solving for, we have to understand the problem we are solving, right? With all of our solutions. And here we figure out what the challenges are and provide a solution, actionable solutions for administrators, teachers, and families, and even the community that are going to be able to support our children. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and first of all, I got to get to the right place, right? That might be helpful in my whole entire scheme of things. So I'll go ahead and we'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and let Christina come up first, and she can go ahead and introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christina Campos. I'm founder of The Impactful Parent. I help parents of school-age children turn their chaos into connection with their adolescent, because it's a rough time of year in your parentings, and I don't feel like there's enough support. So I thought it was really important to create a place for parents to ask questions in a safe environment and not worry about going down the Google machine of crazy. Let's put it that way. So I do online courses and coaching, but my most important thing that I'm proud of is I created an app for parents, and it's free to download. It's on your app store. And in it, you're going to find so many awesome answers to really common questions that you're in with your parenting, whether it's how do I get my child to stop procrastinating, to I'm not too sure if my child has ADHD. How do I know? So there's lots of great things in there, lots of parenting resources. And that's what I would love. That's what I love doing, is helping parents of school age children, because there's all kinds of stuff for babies, but the school age parent needs just as much support. And well, there's just frankly not as much as you need. So here I am to try to do what I can. Thanks for having me today, Tabitha.
I love that. You do what you can. But see, here's the thing. Like I say, because you are a parent and a teacher, and you said the most important job you have is being that parent, being that the most impactful parent you can possibly be. And I'm so glad you're here to share that with others, and then being able to talk with us today to learn a little bit how we can support one another. So amazing. I'm so glad you're here. All right.
And
So
when I have to go like halfway through our conversation, just so everybody knows, I'm not sorry. My apologies. I just I only have 30 minutes
No,
today.
no, we're good. We flow in and out. We're like water. We just making it work and flow. So don't you worry. We got you. All right. So Tammy, go ahead and share with everybody what you do. And oh my gosh, I'm excited. And you're on mute. Unmute. You gotta unmute. There you
There I
go. Go
go.
ahead.
Okay. Hi, I am Tammy Fisher. I own Balancing Act Small Business Services. So I do accounting, tax, and business consulting for small businesses. I am a career bookkeeper and I am an enrolled agent. I'm here today because I am a parent. I have 5 kids, ages 35 down to 5. That's a complicated story. So my youngest is autistic. I have an 11-year-old who is ADHD, and I have a teenage girl who is going to graduate this year. Those are my youngest 3. They're still in school. So, so I'm concerned with what's going on with them, what's going on with them in the school system, and doing right by them. And my husband is in administration at our school system. So I also have kind of a unique perspective about what goes on in that realm. So I can see both sides working at the same time. And that's why I'm here today. And so I'm really excited to be here and take part in the conversation about all things that have to do with our children. Thanks for
This
having
is
me.
pretty cool. Yes, you're amazing. And when I met you in person, I was like, nope, we can have this conversation
Yeah.
because your story is going to impact enough people that will have them start questioning and asking for more. And that is so important because here's the thing, as long as we stay quiet and stay behind our own walls and not share with anyone else, we don't figure out that if we would just open our eyes, that there's a person sitting on either side of us in that same boat. And until we start having conversations, we can't get to that where that community is built of support the way we need it. So yay, I'm excited. All right, so now we have America's Supermom,
Yeah,
Lachelle.
I'm very happy to be here.
So we're gonna go and do this. Ewan. So so right, I don't know. I don't know why we're having this conversation. I'm live on the LinkedIn Live, and there's somebody asking me questions, and I don't get it, but it's okay. I'm going to be okay in life. All right, Lachelle. I'm like, let's do it. Can't make this
Well,
stuff
thank
up.
you so much, Tabitha, for having me. I always love coming in your spaces. I mean, you just have a way of really getting the energy going and so excited. So as I was turning my camera on, I thought, oh no, I've got this stuff on the back of my credenza that I haven't even finished taking off. But I said, that's just my world. Okay. I'm always under
Mine works, honestly.
okay, I'm always under construction, but I'm really glad to be here. I am known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children. We still have 10 that live at home. The ages are 9 to 33. No twins, all single births. I just thought I'd get that out of the way because people have a lot of questions. But now I serve as a vitality coach. I help you to navigate through the chaos and overwhelm of everyday life and transform it into clarity and confidence with a smile. So, sounds like a good title. Went through, I don't know how many uh, run ins with a wall in order for me to get to this point. Just in my own journey, self sabotage, people pleasing, fear of rejection. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, I'm really excited to be here today because I really believe that the only way we're going to heal from a lot of these traumas is to be able to talk about them openly and to be able to make it normal to talk about them. My own journey was 13 years of depression and 3 hospitalizations. And I'm able to really make a larger impact today because I'm able to talk about it. For years, I try to hide it, cover it up, and, you know, take that part out of my story. But if I took that out, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So I'm excited to be here for today. I have a daughter who is 24 and she struggles with depression. So just understanding how things in society can really affect our mental health, I think is so important. And kids are not exempt from that. So I'm glad to be here today.
I'm excited for that. And don't worry. I mean, I think that, like, in general, I think everybody is struggling with depression or they
Mhm.
are having to deal with that in one way, shape, or form. And the fact that we're actually bringing it up and making a conscious decision to do something or to even talk about it, it provides every student the ability and us and the way through it so that they can
Mhm.
go find a safe person to talk to them about it. So this is always good. All right, Lachelle, it's getting ready for the shenanigans. And then there's
And
me.
if you hear my coworkers, that's what I call my kids. I have some that are, in their 20s, still live at home. So, they're used to me being on camera, and it's just like a way of life. So they just are themselves.
And look, and I love
So
it.
don't be
And here's
alarmed.
I'm never alarmed by that. When children are in the background, I know they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Work every nerve known to man because that's their job. The only job in life you will ever get and will never be fired from is being a child. So as long as you're under 18, let me tell you, my children, I said, you have the best job ever. You can curse at me, you can yell at me, you can do all kinds of, you can pee on me, right? Because they do that too.
Right.
And so, and you still have to feed them, clothe them, and provide shelter and safety for them jokers. And
Right.
then when you want to fire them, you cannot.
Right.
The best job ever, and they all running away from it. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
All right. So, very, very funny.
Yeah.
So then there's me. My name is Tabitha Barron. I am the founder of Keeping Your Kids Safe. So we all hear about those different stories where those children are dropped off at the wrong location, children go in the back of the bus, and just like clockwork, that bus rocks them to sleep. And now they're sleeping in the back of the bus with no noise. And so the bus driver has no clue, or they don't check their bus, and the child is sitting in the back of the bus. And the next time we see them, they're trying to exit the school bus on the school grounds. Well, my software actually helps those situations to no longer exist. We actually provide a service that allows each child to effectively communicate their way home. Parents get a real-time text message during the process, and administrators know instantaneously whether or not they're sending that kiddo in the right direction or the wrong direction. The beauty of our program is it does cover 100% of the school population. So that means walkers and bikers, yes, those guys, car riders, childcare bus riders, and yellow bus riders all get scanned off of an elementary school campus, and everyone involved in that child's day gets to have a message sent to them letting them know they're on their way. So this is amazing. I'm very happy to see everyone here. Okay, so if I can, okay, there we go. Cool. I'd like to thank, so now I'm getting ready to go into my spiel. Here we go. It's always different every time. So I want to thank everybody for showing up for us today. Brian, hello. Kristen, I got your name right. Dr. Trung, Kevin, Harvey, thank you for joining us. Navita, James, Miranda, Joseph. Awesome. So glad that you guys can join us today. So first and foremost, always thank you, thank you, thank you. Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. But I want to thank all of those teachers and administrators and parents who are actually doing the work with what they have provided in front of them. And like I said at the beginning, before we can create anything, we have to understand what we're solving for. So here's how the conversation is going to go today, a little bit. So do we know that 42 million children go to sleep hungry every day? That's a problem that we can solve. Did you know that 37% can't read on grade level? Let's be very clear. That's 13 million children. Out of 50 million children cannot read on grade level. That is a problem that can be solved. Okay. And so I always release the stats that we're working with because it gives us clarity as to what we're doing. The metrics is the statistics tell us what problems we have to go after. I actually go and look into a lot of different stats. National Center for Education Statistics says that in 49.4 million children in fall of 2020 and 2021, the enrollment, that was the enrollment. The total enrollment is scheduled to be or is decreasing. So by 2031, we're looking at 46.9 million children in the schools. That is a far cry from when I started, it was 55 million. Now we're projecting to be down to 46 million. What's happening? What's changing? And does that mean that we don't have as many children or not? How does that work? But if we look at it, 18 million families feed into all of the schools, right? And then we have 4 million teachers across 90,000 schools in the US, with 35% of them wanting to quit. That's a problem. That's something that we can solve, right? So let's be really clear. 180 school days brings a child to about 1,260 hours per year that they spend with school. Parent number 2, you've heard me say it. Parent number 1 is home. Parent number 2 is school. The bonus parent is the community. So if you look at it, every year they spend about 1,260 hours with the school. But for us in a work week, we are spending 2,080 hours per year. That's just working. That's just doing your 8 hours a day. But when you add in travel time, you're going to add in potentially 520 more hours, right? So that brings you up to 2,600 hours that you're away from your child every single year. That means that parent number 2 has to count for something, has to count big, because if you have the wrong, if you are co-parenting with a parent who is not helping you to achieve your desired outcomes, that is when we start to run into problems. And so I will ask the question, as I've asked before, when you think about what you have in front of you, especially because Tammy has special needs students, right? The children that she's taking care of, what are some of the challenges or thoughts that you ladies feel like are in front of us that we have the potential to save or to improve, but you may be kind of concerned about? And Lachelle, did you teach your children at home?
Yes.
So
not the whole time. I've had periods where I've homeschooled. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start with Christina because she's going to have to drop off here soon. So I would like you to help us understand what are some of the things that are challenges for the parents, but then give us actionable items that they can actually go and work to kind of counterbalance that.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind when you were giving all the statistics and talking about the teachers was going back to how difficult the teaching profession is right now, and that there's not a lot of incentive to not only go into that profession or to stay in it. So that's really frustrating. And I think that is a problem that should be solved. You were talking about the statistics of who spends the most time with your kids. It's them. And yet we tend not to give them. And when I say not give them the credit, okay, COVID did open eyes to a lot of families on how difficult the teaching profession can be. But even then, even today, post-COVID, it's all mainly verbiage of, oh, we love our teachers, and maybe they get like some muffins and stuff, and that's great. But I'm talking about real incentive to go into the profession and to stay there. Hasn't happened in years, so long. If you're in a public school education, you're getting paid more, but your numbers are high, your stress is higher. It's depending on the demographic that you're teaching, it could be extremely challenging. So because you're as a teacher, when you are in a demographic that's a real challenging demographic, you're not only battling, I need you to learn like you are with every other child, you're also battling whatever is happening to them at home. Okay. And so, if a child is having difficulty at home, they can't sit and learn in your classroom either. So these teachers are navigating just way too much. There's so much happening. And yet we're not giving them financially the respect that they deserve, nor are we giving them incentives to like stay in the profession and continue on. And I mean, I'm even speaking from experience. I taught for several years, preschool through high school. And I did the public sector and I did the private school sector. And the private school, it's again, you got smaller classrooms, so you feel a little less stressed maybe in that way, but there's different pressures. Absolutely just different. It's like comparing apples and oranges as far as on the teacher side of things of what kind of school that you're in. The pressures for private school education is really, really getting kids to do well because those parents are so much more even holding you accountable for everything, whether and behaviors and all. So and they pay for that. So I mean, there's that back and forth to that, but it's just different. And no matter which way you go, it's stressful and there's too much and we're not compensating. So I feel like that's a problem that could be solved that in the end, if you got a really good teacher and those statistics that Tabitha was saying, like this is the person who's going to spend the most time with your child is so influential. If you can take care of that, you can take care of your child. And now they're having a brighter future and better at home too for a parent. So it's a circle, like, there's no way to cut off one arm because it's all put together. We're all family in this, the tribe of raising children.
Yes, that is why I finally figured it out. And actually doing this and having these conversations led me to believe and understand that parent one is at home, parent two is at school. The bonus parent is just a community. Because if you can't effectively communicate with your teachers and administrators, you're always going to have and run into a problem. And that cannot continue if you want a different outcome from whatever's happening, right? And so it's really important to note that it's not it's not all on all of the teachers. When COVID hit, and it was something that was very eye-opening, it made me giggle because a lot of the people kept saying, oh, well, they're not teaching my kid. And oh, well, they're not doing this. And I was like, wrong. I think what you are starting to see is what your children are doing to the teacher on the other side, one. Secondly, you have an opportunity to close a gap that you were experiencing prior to COVID. That's what we were missing. So if my children were younger and were going through that, my kids would be in the books all the time. And when they would have returned back, that gap, my hope would have been less than because I would have taken an active part in their education. Can I teach them everything that the teacher is teaching them? No, because I'm not well versed in that. But one of the things is that that's where communication comes into play. Because if you're not well versed in it, you have to be able to reach out to a person and say, hey, this is what you can do, or this is how to approach this. So from your standpoint, Lachelle, you were homeschooling half of the time. So how were you able, and you actually had little ones during the pandemic, having to go through school. So how did you approach that up against blaming the school for not being able to teach all those things that you felt as though they needed to teach?
Yeah, this is really a great conversation. I think one of the things for me was really being clear on my kids' emotional health during that time. I was able to really observe a lot of things that the teachers were going through because I was fortunate to where my kids were at home, but they had virtual learning. So they had already been equipped with laptops, and this was just instead of being at school, they were now at home. So they were very self-sufficient in that. But I noticed that to me, I just believe there's unrealistic expectations in terms of what the school system thinks that the kids should be um, accomplishing, because they're not given this correct support in order to accomplish those goals. And I think it's really gotten a lot worse after the pandemic, because we lost a lot of time because the kids were not at an optimal level. We're still not addressing a lot of the trauma that they've experienced. And I'm seeing this firsthand with my daughter. She's a freshman in college, but she didn't want to live on campus, and this is just in the same state, right? And we're like 20-30 minutes away from the campus, and she doesn't want to live on campus. And then she has trauma about driving in rush hour traffic, so she has this fear that is being a domino effect with different phases of her life. And I think these are the things that we're not being mindful of. Just a couple weeks ago, I'm doing an audio room, and I'm getting a text from my sixth grader that somebody is threatening to shoot the school. So she's like, "Mommy, can you come and get me?" And I'm like, she's like, "We're getting ready to get on lockdown." And I'm like, "Honey, if there's a lockdown, they're not going to let me come and get you. Just stay calm. I'm a prayer warrior. So I've taught my kids every day we pray before school, to pray, calm down, breathe, but this is not normal stuff that should be faced with during the day." And so it was a false alarm, but she's still traumatized. The next day, she doesn't even want to go to school. So these things are not really being resolved. And the pressure is still on the teachers to make these certain milestones. And they're not even taking into account that they're not dealing with whole children. These children are having some traumas that are not being addressed, and we are aware of them. And so I just believe that there's just not enough support for the relationship with the parents and the teachers. They're not set up for success, because it's like us against them more so than us working together as a team. And it's hard for the teachers to embrace the levels that our kids may be on, because they're given these unrealistic expectations from administration about where the kids should be by the end of the school year. So I think it's a lot of things, but I love what someone said about communication, clarity, with clear goals and objectives from the very beginning. I think there's a disconnect with all of that. So that's my thought on it. I could go on, come up with a lot more, but I think I'll stop there.
Funny. So that's really key, right? I think she's having audio problems, but I think that's very key. And like he mentioned, communication versus connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the same thing as hearing versus listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
We believe that they're the same, but they're actually not. So
Mm-hmm.
I hear you is different from I'm listening. And listening means that I hear your words, I comprehend what you're working to communicate to me, and I'm now going to process and give you back a response. Hearing is just like, I hear that car is zipping through the community, and so I just heard it. It just really sounded like a race car, zoom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hear it, but I couldn't tell you make, model, and who was driving. So that means I just heard it zip, but I never heard it truly giving me, necessary information to be returned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that communication is part of the challenge, and that's the one thing that my platform is built on, right? Communication. Lack of communication actually put my niece in a challenging situation, period. When she attempted to communicate, they told her her communication was not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Period. There
Mm-hmm.
is no two ways to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That impacts her life every single day because of it, because they spend more time with her than home spends with her. And and now you have what you're seeing is definitely something being shifted because now they're spending more time pouring into them all of their value systems versus the ones you have them starting their life with.
Mm-hmm.
So Tammy, because you have this, first of all, you have you and Michelle, very large, long range of children. I had to stop at 2. I can only have. Somebody told me yesterday, you can't call yourself a parent if you have children. Right? It's like, what? You're not a real parent. You can separate children. You go to your separate corners, friends. But so what do you use in order to help yourself? Dealing with the fact that you need a little bit more support in certain areas with your children. Communication, community, what do you build around you in order to help support you in
okay. Well, all right. I have okay. How long we got? Because I have a lot to say. Here's number one. Let's talk about number one. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the school. Okay. First of all, we are blessed where we are because our school is great. Our administration is fantastic when it comes to supporting our teachers. Our teachers come a very close second to the students at the school district. They are very supported in what they do, and they are very appreciated by administration here. So, and that's great because very hard job. But I also want to say that part of my job, knowing that I'm sending my kids to the public school system, part of my job as a parent is also to support them and to support the school and its administration. So it's one thing as a parent to sit back and complain about the school district, but I can do something about my local school district. I am the one who votes for the school board members, and I am the one who can go to the school board meetings and make my opinions heard when it comes to how they operate and what they do. So I'm not a person who's just going to sit back and not say or do anything about how they operate and how they teach and how they treat my children. I'm going to do something about it. And if I don't ultimately like what they're doing, then I'm going to find another school district that will do right by my kids. Right?
There you go.
So
I love that.
Hello?
I love that.
Am
I love that.
Am I preaching? Am I?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
We got you. We got you. And this is the reason why I say that. Here we go. Because now, okay, so now we getting ready to get there. Because I'm gonna go ahead and address Harvey, because Harvey puts a lot in the comments. It's too big for it to come up here. But we are gonna dissect some of this. One, we have choices. That's the sad part about all of this. We have choices, and we walk around behaving like we don't have no doggone choices. We have choices. When your teacher does not do her job, or you feel as though she is that something else is going on, you get to raise your hand and say, I disagree and something needs to change. If you have a school board, a group of school board members who are not helping you to achieve your goals for your children, you have a choice. You get to make a different decision. Stop saying that you don't have a choice. I've been told, and I have said this a number of times, your children aren't in school. You don't have a right to say. Lies you tell. I get to say whatever I want to say, because those children will turn into my neighbors, that will turn into my doctor, that will turn into my dentist, that will turn into the customer service rep who is disrespectful when they go ahead and check me out at the end of my shopping trip. Those students that you are teaching are going to be my employer or my employee. And if they do not have the right skill set in order to get done what needs to be done in their life and sustain their life, guess what's going to happen? I am going to have a problem. And you know what it's going to stem from? All the way back in school. And that is what my problem is because I feel like our tax dollars are still paying for people to not do a job. Now, am I saying that everybody is not doing a job? I'm absolutely not saying that. What I am saying is that when I go to work and my KPIs that I am measured against is not met, the goals that the company set out for me are not met, guess what I get? Performance improvement plan, period. If you do not meet any of these things, guess what happens? You don't make your performance improvements, the next step is termination. So why is it that we're not holding those people accountable for those same things? So now I'm gonna step off this soapbox because I'm gonna go back to Harvey. So Harvey says that salary is an issue, certainly an issue when it comes to teachers leaving the profession. So we do get that. Public school teachers up against a sports figure, that is a problem. Why are we paying people to entertain us more money than we're paying people to educate and feed what is necessary for us to be able to successfully go out there and be a productive human being in this society, right? But I'll go down. So the administrators have their own demands. Because so that means what I hear Harvey saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I hear your administrators have one metrics that they have to follow, and then there's a secondary metrics that another group has to follow. And so sometimes they don't cross. And that becomes too stressful. I'm just trying to keep my job. I'm just trying to keep my job. I'm sorry. If keeping your job continues to put 37% of our population at risk of not being able to read, I'm gonna need you to reevaluate trying to keep that job. That doesn't work for me. The fourth point he makes is the lack of support from families. So, Tammy, you do not seem like a parent who is not supportive of her teachers. And I know Lachelle gets in there. She be getting with folks when it's not right. So how do you encourage parents to be how do you encourage parents to be part of the process to help improve the education of their children?
I think, a lot of it, again, it's that communication, at the beginning of the year, showing up, for open houses, getting to know who the teacher is, talking to them about things outside of school. Do they have children? Finding ways to connect. So often we just have this thing where, the parents are afraid of school. And, it's the cycle because if you didn't do good in school or didn't embrace it, you may be fearful of it. It's like, oh my gosh, are they going to call on me or something? But this is a real thing. People really feel intimidated. And I love that you brought up about the choices, but I think a lot of people don't feel empowered that they have this choice. Parents are afraid to go to parent teacher conferences and ask questions, because they really don't feel empowered. And so we have this mindset in society that, oh, the school system is terrible. And so we just talk about it and don't do anything about it. So that was really my mindset. Even during the pandemic, it really just, I was so upset by people saying, well, the forecast is that these kids are going to have trauma. They're not going to know how to socialize. They're going to have so many repercussions from this pandemic, but you're not doing nothing. You're not being proactive. You're not adding meditation into the classroom. You're not doing any of the things that are practical, small things that you could teach kids. They could be learning about gardening. If they're at home, make them go outside and get some dirt. Talk to them about seed planting. I mean, we got resources where we could have done some of these things, and they just want to keep perpetuating a problem. So I just think, we just spend too much time on these mindsets that, it's just impossible. It's just got to be this way because we have been conditioned to believe that. So a lot of people have been conditioned to believe they don't have a choice. It's just, oh, that's just how the schools are. I just can't wait till my kid graduates, but it's still going to be the same cycle. So I think we need to empower people with the information, understand, even if it is talking to the parents about how to go into a parent teacher conference, right? You know,
Mhm.
what are some of the questions you need to ask? Where do you find out what the standards are for your school district? You know, what are their test results? You know, they send these papers home. Okay, yeah, they can give you a little insight, but nobody knows what they're talking about with these map tests or standardized tests. You don't even know what the metrics are, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, I could go on.
Look, I
I
know
get
the
fired
Tammy,
up
how
by
much
this
time we
stuff
got?
because it's crazy.
And that's why I said, so, Harvey says that we're exactly correct. Part of the school's responsibility is set up a system that empowers parents. But
Mhm,
here's the thing, even if you are not empowered by the school, understand you are empowered because you're an adult. The one thing
mhm,
that you have over a child is that people will listen if you talk to them in a certain way. I will
mhm,
come at you very nicely and I'll be like, okay, listen, I'm unhappy with what has happened here. I don't like the outcome that I have received. What can I do to improve the outcome for my child? But if you get crunk with me, then I got to pull out the other one, the other alter ego, and that's not one that's going to be more pleasant. But that's what we need to do. We need to start solving these problems. We need to start getting with these teachers or these administrators and saying, I need to do something different. And Harvey used to be a superintendent. So he's telling you from his perspective. I can't wait to have a conversation with him later on
oh, yeah,
next month. But it's amazing because if you look at him as a superintendent, he's saying these are things that are challenges, but
yeah.
I have been successful in my school district and we can make these changes, but we have to be willing to do that.
Yeah, well, you know, and I think it is a big burden for the teachers and the students. So this is another example. So my daughter, she's a freshman now, but her senior year, this last year, she had a virtual class. And the teacher called me, I want to say it was maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks before the end of the semester. Okay, where she was going to be due to graduate. He calls me and he says, you know, I just want to communicate with you that your daughter just is not doing well. And I'm afraid about her graduating because of her performance in this class. And I said, okay, wait a minute. I said, let me just make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. I said, we're 6 weeks, it was either 6 or 7 weeks out from graduation. This is the first time you're calling me about a problem with her performance. And this is a class she needs to graduate. And you're just now calling me for this. And I said, so okay, I just need to cut the chase. I said, because I'm wondering why you're just now calling. I said, but that's beside the point. Thank you for calling now. So I said, so now what does she have to do to pass the class? He said, well, she needs to do what I said, look, I'm not a person that you can come with some imagination type stuff. I said, because I'm not going to be on her about something unrealistic that can't be accomplished. So I said, so let's talk about the reality here. I said, is she going to be able to graduate or not graduate? Oh yeah, she can graduate. I said, so let's talk about some specific things that not only she's going to do, but what are you going to do? I said, because I feel like you've dropped the ball. You should have called me a long time ago to intervene, you know, but he was thinking, well, she could be trying harder. And I said, well, let me tell you something about her trying harder. I said, she comes from a family of 15 children. And I said, she is not one who takes initiative to do a lot of things. I said, however, maybe if you had called me earlier, you might have been able to find that out. And I said, and she's in this class because she's been traumatized with the pandemic. So her way of gradually getting back into this is still staying in a virtual setting. I mean, I just went on and I said, so tell me what you need me to do. I said, I'm willing to support you. I said, but you know, I really have a very bad taste in my mouth because I believe that you're not setting her up for success. I said, when you call a person's parent 6 weeks out, when it really is a lot of pressure for her to pass the class, even more so because we don't have much time left. So I said, so what's her assignment? What does she have to do? So he told me. And I was on him every week. Did she turn her assignment in? Did you have this? I mean, he was sick of me. But she ended up being he ended up being one of her favorite teachers. He turned the whole thing around. But I'm just thinking, I had a backbone. I was
Yeah.
not going to put up with that, right? I'm like, what have you been doing? You should have been calling her a long time ago. I was holding him accountable. So my point is, most parents, they don't have time for that. They may not be that engaged, right? They're working, another parent, they might have thought a other parent talked to them. I mean, there's so many smoke and mirrors that sometimes these teachers can kind of wiggle their way out of their accountability and then put it back on the kids and then stressing them out, and then a child, if I wasn't engaged enough to know my child, I would have been on my daughter. Okay, you haven't been doing your stuff. It would have broke down my communication with her. I was livid about that. So I really was upset because how many times does that happen in the parents every day? Right?
Yep.
You're working, you're thinking your kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You go immediately and get on your kids when a teacher's not doing what they should be doing. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's crazy.
Yeah, look like you were hotter than fish grease. I get it, right? And so
Yes.
Tammy, I know that you have gone through this before. Now you're going through it another phase, another wave of children going in. Because I thought school was over for me, and then I had this little niece that I have to. I'm like, I'm back in the saddle again, trying to figure this stuff out. And the thing about it is nothing has really changed since I left school, and that my kids have left school, and so that becomes problematic. So do you see a change or a difference or an improvement in your school district with your second wave of babies going through school? Tammy, are you frozen? No, you're not frozen. She's just sitting there. Tammy.
I'm just having audio. So my audio is skipping.
Oh.
So I'm not catching every word. So could you repeat your question?
Sure. So what do you do? Are you taking notes from what Lachelle just told us about the fact that you have to have a backbone in order to go in and demand a certain amount of communication back from your teachers?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So what we do is go in and meet the teachers, first of all, and we make sure that they know who our kids are. Okay. That's really important, especially with the little one who's special needs. With the special education teachers, they're dealing with a smaller classroom, but each one of those children is different. And so it's really important for them to understand him in particular and understand that, he likes these things. He doesn't like those things. This is how he will communicate with you. Very particular, especially with him. And then one of the things that I do particularly is make sure that I exchange email addresses and phone numbers so that they know how to stay in communication with me. And it's not because it doesn't always have to be a phone call. In fact, I dread the phone call because that means it's something really, really serious. And I would, and a lot of nowadays, a lot of the elementary schools, our school especially, I don't know if others, ones that our school uses is called Class Dojo. And so you connect with it and you connect with your in there every day about what they're doing in class. They'll post pictures of your kid, and it's a great way to stay in contact and to keep aware of what is happening on the daily. And so, I mean, that's a really great way for connection. So if your school's not doing something like that, go and suggest that to your students' teachers, because they're just dead on great way to stay in contact every day. But we do things like that. I also want to make mention of this. You say over and over again, the school is the second parent. And that's a really neat way to think about this. So my job as the first parent is to make sure that when my kid goes to school, they go to school in the right mood, in an atmosphere, in the right mindset that sets the second parent up for success, right? So we have rituals every morning that we do here that start our day off right, in a good mindset. We start our day the night before. We lay out clothes. We plan what we're having for breakfast. We do a morning routine so that when we leave the house, we don't yell at each other to hurry up and get in the car, get in the car, get in the car, that kind of thing. Because I know every one of us has done it, and we do it every now and then. I'm not gonna lie. But but that stress and anxiety that you feel in the mornings because things aren't going right, think of how that just weighs your kid down on his way to school. And it sets him up to have a terrible day.
Yeah.
I can see it on my kids, and I want them to start off their day up and happy and looking forward to what's going to happen. And that's what we aim for every day. I want to drop them off at school, and they are looking positively to what's going to happen that day. And that sets the teachers and the administration up positively. So they have a good kid walking in the door, and then how their day goes is up to them from then on. But at least I started off correctly, right? I started off on a good foot.
I agree.
Right?
I'm glad you said
Okay.
that. Yes, because I used to do that same thing for my son. Man, because if you would set him off, everybody he came into contact with for that day was just a victim of shenanigans. And it wasn't always good shenanigans, right? And so I agree. We have to teach them that. Because nobody likes to be late for work. Well, it depends on where we work, but nobody likes to be in those, like, having those moods, walking into a job having a bad mood. Oh, what happens when you get into an argument with your spouse or with one of your kids? When you walk into whatever you're about to do, it's like really not so great, right? So it's a very good point.
And it takes all of us working together.
Yep. It takes a
It
village.
takes all of us working together cohesively to make this happen. People in the comments keep mentioning communication. Well, we have to communicate with the school as much as we want them to communicate with us.
Yes.
And we have to send our kids off in the right headspace. And I mean, it can even be as much as, hey, don't make your kid wear the clothes that they don't like, because it sends them off in a bad headspace. If he doesn't like that shirt, don't make him wear it. It's so many little bitty things that can add up to a big thing in the end. So
I agree.
we all have to do this together.
Exactly. And so you get it. I'm so glad that you get it. And I hope everybody else gets it too. You are parent number one. Home is where they break down and we build them back up, where we teach them how to wash their clothes, clean the kitchen, keep upkeep, It teaches them how to wash their bodies, brush their teeth, and how to effectively communicate with one another, right? Your parent number two is strong in academics, right? That parent number two is teaching them math and science and reading, and you're doing all of those things. But both parents are responsible for the safety of the child. It's just that simple. So parent one, if you don't allow your child to feel safe where they are, they're not going to receive whatever you're trying to put down for them. And in school, if they don't feel safe there as well, they're going to struggle with receiving your information. So no amount of academic beating or book or test is going to help that child receive that information if their basic needs are not being met, right? And one of the basic needs is feeling safe. Children do not feel safe at home. and do not feel safe at school is subject to the streets, period. That's just how we're going to end up. If they don't feel safe anywhere, the streets will take them gladly, and they will put them in a position to do things that we would never in a million years want to see our children do. So we have got to be really, really intentional about who we invite into our community as parent number 2, and then even the people we bring in our own homes. So we do need to be mindful of that. So ladies, this conversation was about communication, and we did a really good job about communicating how we felt about it. So bottom line, everything starts with communication. Kevin, you are correct. Everybody, Kevin and Michelle, here's the thing. Everybody desires to be seen, heard, and acknowledged, period. So if you ever look at a child's face, if they don't think you're listening, their face does something that breaks your heart when you turn around and pay attention, right? So everybody needs that. So this was a definite sign of saying we need communication. So parents, please communicate with your schools. Please communicate with your teachers. And if you're not getting a response and an acknowledgement, let me tell you, start climbing that ladder to find somebody who's willing to listen to you. Because the most important job you will have in life once you have a child is to ensure that that child is 100% safe, 100% sound when they go out to do their own thing. We have 18 years with them. The law says we have them for 18 years. If they leave prior to that, that don't have anything to do with what the law says. But the law says up to 18. On the other side of 18, they have at least 50 more years to go. So our impact has to be a significant impact so that they can thrive in their next 50 years and not just barely survive. And that messes on us. It is time for us to take responsibility and get with the right parent. Now they're opening up choice schools, so you can go and choose. Find a way to educate your children to the best scenario you would like to see them in, and then go for it, because you're responsible. Because the only people who are listening are the adults, and they barely listen too. So barely listen. I told you, shenanigans. So shenanigans. So my recommendation, as always, please connect with these lovely ladies here and even Christina Campos, because that impactful parenting will help you overcome some of the challenges that you have. And if you have questions, comments, and concerns about teachers and how to engage with them, please reach out to Christina Campos. She will be the one to be able to help and support you. But ladies, as we go ahead and sign off, I'm going to go ahead and give you ladies each an opportunity to share with everyone. Again, how can they connect with you? Where are you located mostly? And what you have coming up, because I think that's cool. All right, Michelle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tabitha, for this opportunity. It's just another reminder of my gratitude during the pandemic, because that's actually how I got connected with you. So we used to spend a lot of mornings together over virtual coffee. So really miss that. But and just a great work that you're doing. I mean, you just have been very passionate about this ever since I met you, and I just love how you open your platform up for these conversations, because it takes the conversations to begin changing the narrative. And so I'm just grateful for that. I am on LinkedIn, so they can connect with me there. I'm really on every social media platform. I'm very passionate about normalizing the conversation around depression. So that is something that I'm always screaming about any opportunity that I get, sharing my story. So that's the best way to reach me. I currently am a TV producer, and I'm looking for 12 guest hosts. So I have a channel, and now I can have up to 12 shows. So if there's anybody in the audience that has content through podcasts, Facebook Lives, or any other video content that they want to receive more distribution for and monetize, then they can connect with me. I have the ability to have up to 12 shows, and each show can have 24 episodes. So, again, thank you so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to our next collaboration.
Well, Michelle, I was like, okay. I know a couple people in this audience right now that might need to be contacting you to see about that. So yes, let's
Awesome.
circle back for sure, because I didn't realize you were okay. You were really going after Oprah's seat.
You know, God is opening up the doors. Okay, I'm telling you.
Yes, we're
I'm
gonna
just
open
ready
it.
to receive. Okay, that's what I
Come
say.
on, Oprah. We ready. Michelle is ready to receive, ma'am. That's all I know. Michelle is ready to receive. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been a pleasure. All right, Tammy, let everybody know how to find you. And I know that you're doing balancing acts for so bookkeeping and finances are not always our friends, but I like what you do and offer. But go ahead and share with everyone who you are, what you're up to. I think you keep freezing on my screen.
Yes. So, Balancing Act Small Business Services. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, almost every day. And you can find me at balancingactsmallbiz.com. I do accounting, tax services, and advisory services for small businesses all across the United States. My mission is to bring you peace for your financial anxieties. I have a LinkedIn Live starting on Monday, October 23rd, with a dear friend of mine, Amanda Adams, who is a CPA here in Texas. And we are going to discuss everything that has to do about small business. Small business is my passion, keeping small businesses alive and well and thriving. So hit me up if you need help with your accounting and tax, or if you just want to talk about your kids or your family or your faith or whatever, because I'm dying to meet everybody. And I just like to talk, and I love shenanigans. So let's do it.
All about some shenanigans. Look, you ain't never told me. You ain't got to tell me twice. Here I come. Here I come. I know. That's why Lachelle started laughing, because she know I'm all about the
I know
shenanigans.
I know.
Thank
That's
you,
why
everybody,
you and
for
I get along so well. It's because we love the
Right.
Right,
shenanigans.
exactly.
Mhm.
Love the shenanigans. Thank you, everybody, for choosing to spend your time with us. And until next time, remember, words are power. Remember to use them wisely. Everybody, have a great one. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate the support and look forward to you visiting us again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, words are power. Please remember to use them wisely. If you have an interest, like to be on our live show, please let us know and send us a direct message.